Welcome, friends of the Greasy Shop Rag. Today we're going to take a look at a Jonsered CS 2258 chainsaw. This is going to be a strip and flip video. I'm going to tear this down and sell the parts on eBay. But on the journey, we're going to look at what models might use the same parts and what's interchangeable. So let's get started. You know, Husqvarna bought out Jonsered, so this saw, the CS 2258, is going to closely match the Husqvarna 555 chainsaw. Now, another saw that's very closely related to this one is the Husqvarna 562 XP. And we know that between the 562 and the 562 Mark II, there's a lot of different changes and parts don't match up. I don't think there's anything on this saw that's going to match a Mark II 562. The 555, 560, the first version 562s, and then this 2258, the 2260. I'm checking my cheat sheet here. That might cover it. There's did I say 560 Husqvarna? 556. Those are models that I'm not familiar with. We don't sell them here at our shop, and I think they might be European models. I'm not sure. So let's get started right away. Top cover. The top cover is no longer available, and it fits this model and the 2260. All right. But I want to show you something. This is a 562, not a Mark II. Let's look at this top cover. It looks pretty close, and you can see that it doesn't really fit on here. There's some changes right here, changes here, the way this hangs out. Even though crankcases look kind of similar, there's quite a difference when you look through this area. And this starter might actually just be covering that up. Let's pop that off of there. Alright, now all of a sudden that crankcase looks pretty close, doesn't it? I can tell you that they're not the same. And it might just be the color. So let's take another look here, just for giggles. Let's see if this starter fits on here. Yeah, looks like it does. So you could put an orange starter on your red Jonsered. Could you put a red starter on your Husqvarna? Yeah, why not? Why not? Here's where the difference is. Let me screw this down. Can I put the starter and the cover on here? Something's not cooperating over here. Boy, this thing's a mess. That just does not want to fit. It's a little bit different right in through here. It almost seems like if I tried hard enough, I could get it to go on there. definitely not going. That works. All right. So let me get this torn bag apart. We'll put this over here. All right. Set that to the side for now. And we'll get back to our CS 2258. All right. That air conductor probably should be a match between the two. Let's take a closer look and just make sure. Yeah. $5051575. Yeah, it's got the same number on it. All right, let's take a look at the clutch cover, because a lot of you might be curious if the clutch covers swap or not. What a mess. They look pretty close. They're a little different up here, though. Officially speaking, the clutch cover is no longer available, and it fits the 2252, the 2253, the 2258, and the 2260. It fits on here. Let's try the Husky cover on the Jonsered. Tell you what. That is a small mount bar. Okay. The 562 is a large mount bar. So you can see it does fit on here, but the pin is not going to be in the right spot. See how here's the bolt hole right there for the stud, and that needs to go through this slot. Well, if we got the pin in there, it's not going to go through that slot. On this one, it lines up. This is a small mount bar used on the small mount 3/8, so there's only 3 saws that I'm aware of in the Husky lineup that use this. It's the 555, the 455, and the 460. There might be a couple other models, but those are the ones that we stock at our shop. So those are the ones I'm aware of. Small mount 3/8. Clutch. Clutches look different, but they're not. They're just different generations here. They've upgraded the clutch design. The clutch itself, I gotta keep checking my cheat sheets. The clutch itself should swap between these and all models. The 22, the 2258, 2260, 555, 556, 560, 562. See if I got a tool for knocking that off of there. All right. Oh, it was the same one. Dang it. Uh-oh, what was that? $562. I don't know why I'm even taking that off of there. This is the one I'm stripping. All right, here's our clutch. Drum, that's going to interchange. That rim drive's worn out. We're not going to reuse that. There's our bearing. It's kind of messy over here. I'm going to wait on that oil pump. Let's pull this handle off. So you're wondering, is the handle going to interchange? Well, I think it will. But this is going to be black, and this one's going to be gray. Otherwise, well, maybe not. There's a big bend in the handle, and this one doesn't have that bend. Should we put it on there? See? Why not? All right. I'm going to have this 562 torn apart. That wasn't really my plan. Come on now. All right, this is our Jonsered handle. This is our Husqvarna handle. Huh, I don't know. Sure, it fits on there. Just gives you a little different profile. Plenty of clearance here. All right, good to know. How about the brake handle? Is that going to swap? Well, officially speaking, it won't. But just earlier this week, a guy brought me a 555. I take that back. He brought me a 550 chainsaw. It was a Husqvarna, and it had the Jonsered, whatever the equivalent is. I forget the model number, but it had the Jonsered handle on it. And I have to believe, if you wanted to customize your 562 so it didn't look like everyone else's, you could take this handle. Come on now. I got it stuck behind this guide plate. I better take that off. You can take that handle and put it on your Husky and have it look just a little bit different. Don't forget these bushings. Here's our knee bone, spring and plunger. And I got a mix of brake parts, guide plate, chain catch, and spike. And for giggles, let's just prove it. Oh yeah, that's right. This one's a little different. There's an extra piece on here that we don't see on the Jonsered. If you're trying to read what this tag says right here, I'll show you. Scored. That's not because we're winning a game. It's because it's roached. Come on. You look at these two handles, and they're pretty much the same. Meaning this handle fits on here. I just got to get it underneath this knee bone. Come on now. There we go. So yes, that works the way it should. Take a look at that. Can you see that? What are you looking at? We're looking right here. How that knee bone works. That little ramp right in there. And that spring is what gives this lever that feel. I should have taken this side off first. All right. What did I do with my parts? And I think actually, I'm building my own 562. I might keep some of these parts just to make it a little bit more unique. I have a color scheme that I'm thinking about. And a black handle might look a little bit better than the gray one that comes with the 562. So not all of these parts are going to find their way on eBay right away. Here's our muffler. A little bit dented in right here. The muffler's fully interchanged between 555, 556, 560, 562, 2258, and 2260. Muffler sells for $85. We can backtrack a little bit here. This handle, brake handle, is must not be available anymore. Yeah, it's no longer available. Don't look for this one on my eBay store because I'm actually going to keep it for my own build. The front handle, that's no longer available. But we know that you can get a gray one and bolt it on your Jonsered. What else we got over there? The starter is no longer available for the Jonsered. And the clutch cover is no longer available either. That's unfortunate. You would need a 555 clutch cover for your Jonsered. So you'd have to put a pumpkin cover on your hot rod red Jonsered. That would be a bummer. I mean, I could see maybe putting some black parts on the orange saw or some gray parts on the red saw, but not orange ones. I don't think that would look very good at all. Air filters interchange between models as long as you're talking about the same old style filter and filter housing. That one's particularly dirty and I think might be compromised here. I'll have to take a closer look at that later. I kind of got ahead of myself here. I normally like to check for spark before I pull the starter. So we might have to get a little creative here. Why did I pull the muffler off the Husky? Son of a gun. I think bringing that Husqvarna up here was a bad idea. I'm getting all mixed up. It's interesting to note that these are 5mm. And the Husqvarna was T27. This muffler's in a little bit better shape too. Some of these mufflers like this one here that are bent up, I'll sell them for cheap. And you know, someone might want to do a muffler mod on that or something. I don't know if you'd cut this base out of here or cut this whole top out of here and do something different. I mean, this is the part you really need, right? On this back side. Maybe even cut it this way and do your own thing on the front. The boss at work is playing around with a 562 and he's going to do his own muffler mod. I saw some of the cutting he did on his first attempt, and I think basically that first attempt muffler is junk. He would kind of opened it up to see what was in there, and now that he's seen it, he's going to try something different, and once he's got that done, maybe I'll show that to you. All right, our muffler's off, and looking into the cylinder, this thing's decent. This saw I bought from a customer. It had about 6 different error codes in it. Pretty sure it's got an air leak. Don't know what else is going on. Gave him an estimate for finishing off the diagnosis, and he just decided, well, I want to buy something different. This is a 2016 model, and he was over it, and that's fine. I mean, you know, some people would say, well, you know, I would have fixed that. You just keep going. It's got life left in it. Well, sure it does. It's also got some parts value in it. He didn't want it. I'll make it work. And I can make more money stripping it and selling the parts than I can putting it together whole. And then having to deal with people that don't know what they're doing and wreck this saw, and then they blame me for their stupidity. And then I end up with a bad reputation because I sold a piece of junk. Well, I'm just not interested in playing that game. Let's see if that throttle cable will come out of there. Yeah, there we go. Got some fuel lines. We got the return line right here. You want to see that? You see this return line right here? Probably not with my hand in the way. We're going to pop that off the back of the primer bulb. There we go. And then we have the main fuel line hidden way down here in the schmutz. We'll pop that off. Now when we flip this over, we can just pull these lines right out of here. Thought I had that disconnected, yeah. Alright, we've harvested a fuel tank. It looks pretty good. Will this fuel tank fit on this saw? 2258, 2260, no longer available. Alright. I still didn't check for spark. Yeah, we got good spark. And actually the saw kind of ran. Let's pull this carburetor off of here. The air filter base is going to be the same as the 562 and the early generation ones, though, before they had the screw-on air filter. Alright, we can pop this line off the carburetor right here. Right there. And then we're going to pop this air filter base out of the rubber boot on both sides. Just like that. Now it's free. It's still, the choke lever is still hooked on this lever of the carburetor here. There we go. It's kind of pulled away. What I'm going to do is just pop these kill wires off of here. There's a gasket in here, and there's a gasket right here. You don't want to lose those. Our carburetor is free. We're going to pop this white connector out of here and then separate it. Let's see if I can. There we go. This is a good carburetor. I'm going to resell this along with the ignition coil as a pair. I've cleared the codes out of it, updated the firmware. and someone will be able to use it. The carburetor supposedly interchanges with all the models we talked to up to 2021. There's a year or a serial break in the 2021 model year. This is a Zama EL44. Yeah. So that is going to go with this ignition coil. So we'll get this coil out of here. I could sell them separate, I suppose. Oh, I forgot. This one goes behind the stinking flywheel. So we got that. Last time we did this, I said I was going to save a nut for knocking these loose. This might be that nut. Something hit the floor earlier. I don't know if it was a tool or a part or what it was. But it hit the floor and then I heard it bounce against cardboard. I don't know if it bounced in cardboard. But there's some boxes under the bench I'm going to have to go through later. Alright, we're going to run this nut flush with the end of the crank. We're going to hammer by putting a little pressure behind it. Nothing crazy because I don't want to crack that flywheel. Get the dogs up over my punch. There we go. Didn't wreck the end of the threads because the nut still comes off by hand. There's our flywheel. The flywheel itself well, it fits the 555, 556, 560, 560G, 562, 562G, 2258, 2260. A new one's $130. We're not going to get $130 on eBay for it. But we'll get something. Now that the flywheel is out of the way, I can get this screw, I can get this air nozzle. I'm guessing that air nozzle works on all those models. I didn't look that up though. Our coil. Oh, I still didn't take that screw out. Still got some old school Craftsman tools in the box. Made in USA. Alright, our wiring harness. There is a spot on the intake boot that holds it. But we should be able to pull it right through here after I remove a ground screw, which is hidden. Wow. Really hidden. Where is that stupid thing? Tell you what I'm going to do. let's just pull this cylinder. I think I'm going to blow all this dirt clear in the cabinet. We'll get the schmutz cam out and clean this up before I pull it, because I don't necessarily want to get any dirt in the crank bearings. They might be good. I'd like to sell it as a good crank if it is. All right, fresh out of the blast cabinet. We'll pop this cylinder off of here. Come on, where are you at? Two, three, four. Wow, that is a beautiful cylinder. There's nothing wrong with that. That's pretty. All right, how about this piston? Yeah, that looks pretty darn good. Let's get it out of there. So what I've done is I moved the gap of this clip just so that the edge of the clip is outside of this lip here, and then maybe I can get underneath here like that. You see that? I got underneath it, and then I can just pop this clip out, right? You see how the clip's bent? All right. We don't want to reuse that clip. This scrunch has got this nice tapered edge here. It seems to be the right size to drive these pins out. I use it quite often for that purpose. Here's our piston. I mean, that thing is pretty nice. Pretty nice. Very little dirt ingestion. A little bit of wear there. I can't remember how many hours this machine had on it. I actually printed it out. Here we go. Jonsered 2258. So it did not have any error codes, and it had 184 hours and 37 minutes of runtime. On the last run, it ran 11.9 for RPMs. and it was started 1,300 times. So this is a 184-hour piston. A little bit of blow-by right here. Right here. A little bit of carbon on top. I can darn near wipe it off. I'd say this thing was running pretty good. All right. So I do have a dry crank bearing. One of them is dry. Let's, we're going to split this one. Is this 4? Yeah. I want to break it loose by hand, and then I can use that Torx bit on there. Five, 6. That should do it. I gotta take this tray off of here yet. I'm sure the tray interchanges with the orange ones. I just don't have an orange one here in front of me to test that theory. Nothing wrong with that. Oil pump, 2258, 2260, 555, 560. Not the 562. It's a $40 part. Wait, is it? Oil pump? Yeah, $40. Why is it different than the 562? I don't know. Might be the worm gear. I know they changed the worm at one point. I mean, this has got the plastic worm, which is in really good shape, and the metal driver here. I got one more screw up here. Alright, the tool I'd like to use for splitting these is at the shop. This is just a limiter strap. But maybe we can use the I'll show you. This one. I don't think it's going to fit in there, but we'll try it. All right. All right, you see what we got going on here? Let's see if it'll split. So what I like to do is snug it up by hand and then ask it nicely if it'll loosen up. And then snug it up by hand some more. Then ask it nicely again. This is not breaking loose. Should have broke loose by now. I got all the screws out. That sounds loose right there. And that's leaking, so that's loose. So I think we're just fighting a crank in the bearing. You can see it coming apart here pretty evenly all the way through. You also notice that there's a locating pin right here. I don't need to pull this out now, but I wanted to show it to you. There we go. Here's another one up here. Just don't lose them. All right, we got a nice case half. No cracks through here. This is where they usually break. This bearing feels good. All right. That's going to be the noisy one. This rod looks good. It doesn't look like this thing got hot. That's going to be a good crank. If I don't wreck it pulling it out of here. So, let's try this again. This is not a hard job, but when you're trying to get everything recorded, it can be a little more difficult. Like I could just spin this together without trying to hold it up to a camera, right? But you can see now how this clamp works. We're on each side of the bearing, and if you look at this one, you can see a mark here and here where that tool was. And then we're in the center line of the crank, and we just turn it. We gotta break it free. Did I hit it? Yeah, I must have hit it. All right, we've harvested a crank. That bearing feels good. Yeah. I like the looks of this. And this bearing, yeah, this was the dry one making noise. But the case is good. We have completely disassembled a Jonsered CS 2258 chainsaw. My next steps are going to be to wash the parts, then I'll photograph them and list them on eBay. You won't find all the parts on there because the parts will be listed well before the video comes out. That doesn't mean some of the parts won't be left over though. So that's all I have for you on a Jonsered CS 2258 strip and flip. Thanks for watching. Later.